Kindergarten level politics explained for American politics. White people moved to America from the European countries because they were trying to look for freedom from their bad governments back then. Their governments used to hang them by the neck for reading the Bible. Only the Pope was allowed to read the Bible. And they wanted freedom to read the Bible and see what it says for themselves. And the freedom to discuss it. So, they heard that America had mostly open land and very little inhabitants. They heard about Indians living here in small spaces. And that, as far as I know, is pretty true, pretty accurate. So, where it became a problem, though, is when more and more white people were fleeing from those countries and came here. Then there were so many in population, they were starting to need to spread out over more land, and that's when they ran into more Indian territories, and there was a conflict. But the Indians did not have open borders. I mean, they didn't have a border, and they weren't united. They had different tribes, and they had not claimed the land of America. They claimed certain sections of land. And white people, the settlers, at least, the ones that were escaping the European countries, tried to make peace and stay off of Indian lands and make treaties and agree to having certain parts of the land and letting the Indians keep their parts of the land. But what happened is the bad governments in the European countries chased the white people here, their citizens that escaped, and they were trying to take over. And they were trying to, I don't know if they were trying to bring some back or what, but those governments, the best as I can understand, are the ones, some of those governments were the ones bringing the slavery over. And as they came over, they were bringing a lot of the people that agreed with them over. And guess which party beliefs that represents? Think about how the Democrats want to hurt people today who believe in the Bible. People who talk about the Bible. That sounds just like those old European governments. And they didn't want them to have freedom. Democrats don't want people to have that freedom of speech. And they don't want people to have freedom to own their own homes. And that's the direction the European countries were trending back then. Now, a lot of the European countries adopted America's free market system and letting people have their own homes and freedom of religion, which actually came because people wanted to be able to read the Bible. So it's freedom, technically in a way, it's freedom to study religion and realize which one's real and which one's not. So the Democrats have switched that into to us not being able to talk about evidence that offends the ones that don't have any evidence. There's a lot of religions that don't have any evidence of a real God, and they don't want us talking about that. So it's just like back in the European countries that the white folks escaped. Anyway, that's a short kindergarten level explanation of America. And so, except they keep talking about cutting taxes. The Democrat Party is acting like they're going to cut taxes for the middle class. They're the ones that have hurt the middle class. And Donald Trump, when he was in office the first time, he helped the middle class, I think, more than any president. And the middle class is who you want to help the most, in a sense. Or you want to have the big middle class because that represents the fact that you have a pretty good tax code, because most people are going to fall in the middle class bracket if you have good tax codes. If you have people that are trying to survive and live morally, they're going to, generally, you're going to have a bigger middle class than you have a rich or poor class, because everybody can't be rich. And if you're in a good country, everybody's not going to be poor either. So anyway, that's my kindergarten level. Anybody should be able to understand politics. And somehow the media today tries to make it so nobody can understand those simple things. I like this little hat I'm wearing, so I'll show that before I hang this one up. All right, I went over 5 minutes. I wasn't paying attention, but I'll stop even anyway at 5 minutes 30 seconds.